today we are going to really experience Baroque music. This is that celestial, heavenly music. And the greatest composer was Bach. So today for the first full half we are going to have nothing else but Bach. Bach was one of the great geniuses that lived in Germany. He was born in 1685 and died in 1750. Now, this man was not only he wrote music, but he breathed music. He had music in his whole being, and he gave it to us. With his death comes the end of the Baroque era. After that you don't have Baroque music. So now, at that time, in Europe, we had two great poets, Shakespeare and Milton. They are also termed as the Baroque poets. Now they gave you in words what Bach gave you in music. It's very important to coordinate the two. And I have made a detailed research into Shakespeare and Milton, insofar as they throw light into the Baroque music. Now at that time, music was a given. Everyone studied music. Everyone enjoyed music. So much so that Shakespeare comes out in Merchant of Venice, Act 5, Scene 1, very, very strongly. And he says these words, possibly harsh. The man that has no music in him and who is not moved with the concord of sweet sounds is fit for treason, stratagems and spoils. The motions of his spirit are dull as night, and his affection dark as Erebus. Let no such man be trusted. What does Shakespeare say? Why is he so harsh? Because he says the person who doesn't, he is not moved. Today all of us are going to be moved by that music. The man who has no music and who's neither who has music in him nor is moved is fit only for that. Because, and the argument is this, that music gives us time and place to get resilience. If we are depressed, if we are angry, if we are upset, and then when we listen to the music, we will find consolation and we will get back our strength and resilience. And that is why music is so important. The man who cannot understand that, then when he is angry, he will be even more angry. And when he is upset, he gets even worse upset. And when he is confused, it is confusion, as Milton said, confusion worse confounded, because there is no remedy for it. That is why Shakespeare, who is known as the Bard of Avon, he says this about the man who has no music in him. Now what happens is, the music is something which we are going to experience today. Having said this about Baroque music, I want to tell you something about listening. How does one listen to music? Listening, you must understand, is an art. Just as speaking is an art. And that art can be perfected through practice. The first principle to understand in listening is, you listen with the ears and never with the eyes. This is an elementary truth, but it's also an elemental truth. And the difference between the two is this. Elementary means simple, but elemental means important. This is elementary and it is important, that you do not listen with the eyes. And therefore, it makes no sense when you're listening to music to open your eyes. It is your eyes in listening is just like the brakes in your car. Brakes are very important if you drive a car. Very, very important. Without brakes, you better not start your scooter or drive your ar. But if your leg is jammed on the brakes, then you never move. You have to release the brake. The same thing in listening. If you listen with your eyes open, the chances are very great that you will get distracted. Which who's wearing what? Which has absolutely no truck with the music. So today's session, I would strongly recommend you to listen with the ears and shut the eyes. And as Shakespeare told us, Shakespeare wrote 38 great plays. 154 sonnets and some masterpieces. In one of his masterpieces called Lucrece, Shakespeare said that when you close your eyes, you listen with the inward eye, you see with the inward eye. That's what we are going to experiment today. When we close our eyes, we will see, but we will see with the inward eye, which sees how we feel, which experiences our feeling, what is going on in ourselves. And remember, for today's session, the most important person in the world is not the Prime Minister of the country, neither the Chief Minister. The most important person in the world is you for today. It's definitely not your neighbor. So concentrate on yourself. How do you feel? That's all. Right? That is going to be your intellectual disposition. How do I feel just now? Not 1 hour ago, but just now. Now, how do you promote yourself when you're listening? First of all, when you sit and when you really want to feel relaxed, contrary to public belief, your backbone should be straight and not like this. When you sit in an inclined position, you are not relaxed. Although our belief is that when we come from work, we slouch on the table and we say we are relaxed. No. If you really want to feel relaxed, your backbone must be straight. You can take support of the chair. So that's going to be our position. We will take a support and we will sit. And when we sit, we will sit with both our feet on the ground. Why? Because we will get the vibrations of the music. Although you may not understand whether it is B flat major or C sharp major. No. Whether it's in B flat or C sharp, you don't know. But there is much more in that than being flat and seeing sharp. It is feeling. It is feeling. That's what I want you to get, the feeling and the vibrations of the music. So when you sit with both, please sit with both your feet on the ground evenly and sit and do not move. This is what Lord Buddha had told us long back to his doctrine of Vipassana, that when you are really relaxed and really concentrating, don't move. Just sit in that position. And then I want you to breathe. How will you breathe? How fast will you breathe? I will guide you. But for the time being, you breathe evenly, inside and outside. Okay. And concentrate on the speed of your own breathing, not on the neighbor's breathing. Don't check whether your husband is breathing correct. No, only yourself. Okay? Now, when you breathe, you find that you're breathing inside, and you will experience that when you breathe out, it is always the hot air. Remember and be advised of one very, very important thing. The hot air contains the toxins of the body, and also, it is not discussed, but today we will discuss. You are breathing out the toxins of the body and the negativity of the mind. You are breathing out negativity and hatred and all the unwanted things which are best breathed out. And what are you doing? Afterwards, you are going to breathe in the lovely Baroque vibrations. I want you to take it in. Just breathe out and breathe in and breathe out, and then like you listen. But what you are doing is you are taking in the lovely music. Now breathing is very, very important. This was told to us first by Buddha, then by Jesus Christ, 2000 years ago. Buddha came 2500 years ago. Then Jesus Christ came 2000 years ago. And Jesus Christ, Buddha said you must breathe, and that's the most important thing. He taught us Vipassana, a very detailed thing which I will not discuss now. Jesus Christ, when he came, the Bible tells us, he breathed after his ascension, death and ascension, he breathed on his disciples. And he said, receive the Holy Spirit. Whose sins you forgive, they are forgiven. Whose sins you don't forgive, they are not forgiven. So there was so much power in that. That was the thread. Later on, in the last century, we had Wordsworth. And this is what Wordsworth said. And now I see with eyes serene the very pulse of the machine, a being breathing thoughtful breath, a traveller between life and death, the reason firm, the temperate will, patience, endurance, strength and skill. These are the attributes that are given to us, that are vouchsafed to us when we breathe. So today, concentrate just on that, breathing. Okay? Now what will I do? I will play the beautiful music, and my colleague Jason, he will in Jazz Idioms for heaven's sake, don't say he will jazzify it, because that not only is an untruth, it went tantamount to a blasphemy. And one scholar of Baroque music said, if you have to sin against God, don't sin against the Baroque composers. God will forgive you. Baroque composers will never forgive you. So don't ever say Jason is jazzifying the music, because he's not. When they jazzify the music, what they do, they change the rhythm and they make it into a jazz rhythm, which means they change the rhythm, they change the notes, and you are left with something which is not classical. It is jazz, correct, but it is not Baroque. As simple as that. Today we are not going to do that. We will keep the basic structure of Baroque music intact. We have made few cosmetic changes here and there of keys and chords, but the basic structure, the basic rhythm is the same. And here we are very, very, very different from fusion, where they change the basic structures of the classical music. Okay. Now we are going to experience this. First you will get this lovely music, ethereal music. Jason will then add color and jazz idiom to this music, and then you will experience the real ethereal beauty. Because what happens is, when, like for instance, I say rain comes from the sky, that water is not meant, you can't drink it really, but when it goes to the ground, when it mixes with the earth and soil, then you get all the minerals and you can drink it. The same is the music. That ethereal music, it might be difficult to really imbibe as it is. So he will play it for you. But then he will put the earthly color and shading and gilding, and then you will get it both together. That will be very, very tuneful and lovely for you to take into the system. And remember, you are not only listening, not only you are hearing, you are feeling. That's the most important thing, which is missed in most of the big concepts. You clap at the speed of the piano, it's fine. But then what about you? Are you a changed person after the session? That's the point. Has it made any difference in your mind? Now when you listen to Baroque music, you require at least about 8 or 10 sessions. Today is only the first day. But when you listen to the music, what does it do to you? First of all, it sends very cooling waves. We call in psychology the alpha waves. You are in the alpha state. It increases the IQ. Very few people can increase the IQ. Baroque music increases the IQ. And then it clarifies the mind, it invigorates the mind. I will give you only one instance, and that's enough. You all must have heard of the great scientist Albert Einstein. Everybody has heard of Einstein. What happened about him? In which college did he go? Was he first class student in school? What grade did he do? Let me tell you about Einstein. He was such a backward student in class that by the time he was about 13 years old, the teacher sent for his mother, not to tell his mother that your son is doing well, just the opposite. She said, your son is the most backward student in the class. He just cannot follow. What he just does is says, good morning sir, and that's all. And after that, nothing. And everybody laughs at him and makes fun of him. It is best that you take him away from the class. That is, I'm going to teach him when he's out. And he was thrown out of school at the age of 13. What his mother did, something very beautiful. What she did is she bought a violin, an old violin, and sent him for violin classes to that teacher who was a passionate believer in Baroque music. And at the age of 13, Einstein was inured to Baroque music. And he kept on learning Baroque music. It went into his system, probably 1 hour or 2 hours. The whole day, for 8 hours, 10 hours, he would listen. And then his mind got rectified. And he started sitting at home. And some scholars say even at the age of 15 and 16, he started his theory of relativity. E is equal to mc squared, where E is electricity, m is mass, and c is speed of light. And he perfected this theory, not by going to college. And then at the age of 26, when he propounded the thesis, he wondered how he got this. It was definitely not taught to him in any college because none of the professors knew about it. It's a discovery he made. So that is one example of the benefit of Baroque music. Okay? Now, when we started, before I go ahead, I must introduce to you my colleague, Quadros, who is very brilliant in Goa, the most brilliant jazz pianist. All those in Goa must be knowing he's one of the best jazz pianists. And although he is roughly my height, he is called the jazz giant of Goa. And he has taken such gargantuan steps in music that all the jazz musicians look up to him. But I must tell you another side which very few people know about. He is also a classical pianist. He did his Trinity College exams, and in the grade 8 exam, the grade 8, that's just before the ATCL and LTCL, he secured the first position, getting the highest marks, not in Goa, not only in India, but he got the highest marks in the world in the grade 8 exam of Trinity College, and he was awarded the highest, an award from London, given to an Indian citizen with the highest in the world. So we are very, very happy to have a young giant.
I'll introduce Professor Mathew Mendes to you. Professor Mendes started his education at the age of 4 under his father. Later he continued his music education under Madame Olga Klein and Harry Littler, who incidentally was the ex-examiner of Trinity College of Music, London. Before Professor Mendes was 20, he had already completed his ATCL, LTCL and LRSM examinations. In the LRSM examinations, he stood first, securing the highest marks in India, Pakistan and Ceylon, thereby winning the Sir Adrian Ball Award and BMSO Challenge Shield. In the field of academic education, he graduated with flying colours from St. Xavier's College, Bombay, majoring in philosophy and literature, English literature. Professor Mendes has made an extensive study of Baroque literature. His knowledge on Baroque literature being so vast that when he gave a series of lectures in London, he was called the Shakespeare of India.
As he was reading this, I somehow felt that someone was reading my obituary in the Times.